Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. I'm going to share with you today a little banking secret, which isn't that much of a secret, but it comes from a banker I was talking to the other day, and hopefully it will be helpful to you because I do think it makes quite a difference. And actually, it's something that in one of Richard Branson's books, I remember reading him mentioning, Richard Branson talking about it. So with that in mind, let's dive in. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notifications. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for helping us to grow the channel. And if you would like help with international tax optimization, setting up companies, opening bank accounts, getting residencies or citizenships, relocating around the world, please reach out to me. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, link in the description below, or send a message to our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Okay, so here's the conversation. I was with somebody not too long ago who had a pretty extensive background in banking, actually here in UAE, background in wealth management lately, etc. And I was asking their opinion on, what did they think were the best banks in UAE? And if you're just to answer that question literally, I mean, you might say Emirates NDB, you might say First Abu Dhabi Bank, you might say Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, you might say, a variety of these. But he said something that I thought was super true and reinforced a key point. It's one of the things that I've noticed when dealing with various of the Swiss banks. It's something that I've noticed dealing with banks even in Canada, but in a variety of different parts of the world. And that is, he said, there are no good banks, only good relationships. And this is, on the one hand, super frustrating. What do I mean by that? The advice Richard Branson gave years ago was maintain really good relationships with your bankers. And doing so can have a pretty big payoff, especially in a world where banking has gotten increasingly difficult. Now, to be fair, banks are increasingly run by compliance departments, and so, it's not necessarily true that, you can get as far with somebody lobbying for you in the bank. But often there's just things that you can do that are useful. We were helping some people set up a bank account in a country where it's normally pretty difficult recently. And, you talk to the one banker and they say, oh no, it can't be done. And you talk to another and says, oh yeah, it can be done. You just have to understand how to do it. And so who you have as relationships at these banks is really important. It can make a really, really big difference. And part of that is, okay, it's great to have somebody who can connect you and get in that way. That's useful. Another is, okay, you by process of elimination and work, etc., you can maybe find the right people. But part of it is just building a good relationship with your banker. So just think, if your banker understands the business that you're in, understands what you're doing, etc., what are the chances that they can basically safeguard you versus if they know nothing about your business and you're in a situation where something doesn't make sense to the bank and they're concerned about it from a risk standpoint? It's much better to have that banker who can say, hey, listen, no, I understand what's going on here. I know it's legit. I know this person. I've gone to their office. I've seen their business. I understand what's going on. And here's what the deal. Much, much better to be in the latter situation. Then there's the broader relationship of just, the to and fro of the relationship with the bank, right? Banks are much more willing to work with you if you have a relationship with them that includes history, includes a volume of business, includes things that are good for the bank, etc. So for example, I was just talking to a friend and client the other day who had bought some property and had financed it, right? Now, did he need to finance it? No. Was it a good investment to finance it? Probably. On the other hand, it was also really good for the banking relationship, and that was one of the parts for him. So in this sense, what are some basic tips you can do to kind of improve that side of the relationship with the bank? So number one, open up accounts. Having history, banks like to see that they have history with you. Number two, if you can, deposit consistent amounts of money in that bank. So interestingly, more than just having a balance, you could have a balance of $1 million, and it doesn't necessarily look as good as if you are bringing in, $50,000 a month or something like that, right? It's the amount of money might be actually lower, but they like to see that consistent income, okay? Likewise, consistently repaying expenses, right? So this is where you may get some sort of like a prepaid card and you may pay off the bill consistently, right? that credit history, these sorts of things are very positive. Next is, yes, if you can have a fairly substantial balance or a more substantial balance. I've been in situations where back in the day, I wanted to increase my credit limit with the bank, and they would say, okay, well, based on purely on the credit, we can't go any higher. Do you have assets that you can show us that would, justify this? And I can say, okay, well, look, I have these balances, et cetera. And they can say, oh, okay, great, then we're fine to increase the limit. So all of these things can be quite helpful. This is again where, there's pros and cons of private banking and wealth management. Lots of reasons to say, hey, listen, I'd rather just have really efficient electronic banking. I can kind of agree with that. But because banking is such a pain today, this can also be useful. And I've seen cases where when you develop a good relationship with a good banker, there's a lot of different things that they can make happen for you. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have questions about it, put them in the comments below. And if you need help, please reach out to us. I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.